Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. I'm Peter Rave, man with no plan. Here with me is my team, my crew, my family of record review people. We've got Brett.
That's wiggity whack.
We've got Drew.
Howdy, folks.
And we've got Patrick.
Totally crossed out.
Mm-hmm. We're here, of course, gathered to talk about music. We do this every week. Almost every week. Sometimes
Lies.
Sometimes we miss a couple. You know,
one time missed a bunch.
Yeah. You know what? That's neither here nor there. We're here every week. One of us shares an album with the group, and the group says what their thoughts are, and then we do haikus. And that is the show. In case you didn't know, now you know. We're here to talk about music. And the provider of the music of this week is none other than Brett. Brett, what do you got for us this week?
Kris Kross is totally crossed out.
Yeah.
I repeat, Kris Kross is totally crossed out.
Yeah, that's where we're in our...
Totally crossed out.
That's why we're totally crossed out.
Yep.
No, I'm like Abe. I want to put popcorn in my hood and use it like a feed bag.
It is ingenious.
While you play video games or make art.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about music. I'll start with Patrick. What were your expectations coming into this album?
This is one of the first 2 or 3 albums I ever bought. I had it on cassette and I wore it the fuck out. I was 6 years old when Jump hit, and I was apparently the perfect age to be swayed by 2 14-year-olds with their clothes backwards, singing songs written by Jermaine Dupri. So I haven't really listened to this much as an adult, like I've done with some of my childhood favorites. So it was kind of a nice chance to go back and realize that I still remember probably 80% of the words to Jump.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I knew this was an early 90s record made by Jermaine Dupri and a few kids. And I'd heard Jump in my time before, but it wasn't something... I had never listened to much of this album besides Jump, because Jump was always on the radio. I never sought this album out. And we can go into whether it was a mistake for me to not seek it out or not.
Mm-hmm. What would be the themes elements that make up this record? How would you describe this album musically?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's 2 kids. You get your Christopher Mac Daddy Kelly and your Christopher Daddy Mac Smith. A couple 14-year-olds at the time of release, but other than the fact that the novelty of having children, which was something that was going on at that time, this album uses extensive use of this album makes extensive use of sampling, like way more now as an adult, where I'm like, oh well, I totally didn't hear that one when I was a kid. I too bought this cassette tape at the On Q store at the Markland Mall in Kokomo, Indiana, when it was new. I mean, this album went platinum 4 times. Like, this thing grabbed the hearts and minds of America. So there's, it's an extremely successful album, but a lot of it was for novelty, but some of it wasn't. But yeah, it's hard. The hip hop it got a hard edge for as young as these kids are. The content of the songs, the themes and elements, you could say, of the songs are very hilariously childish, but they don't come across so much. But yeah, I mean, once we get into the songs, we'll get into the real reasons why it grabbed the hearts and minds of America and those across the world in 1992. I just really would like to see what else was going. Like, I should have went and looked up the Billboard charts for like the 8 months that this was number one and see what they were up against. But it's nutty. It's weird, and it's something that I hope never happens again, so that this can stand out.
Well, except that it did, because we got a little Bow Wow.
Okay, but
and Lil Romeo to some extent.
Oh, hey, let's bring up more mistakes by Jermaine Dupri. Great.
But yeah, and they're surprisingly attempting at hard hitting social commentary, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, missing bus is a horrible thing.
Yes. Patrick, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention this time around?
So things I didn't notice in 1992. This is effectively a gangster rap record sung by 14-year-olds, and it does at least touch on some of those topics.
Dirty South.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of that G-Funk whistle synth thing that I still love and I wish would make a comeback in hip-hop. We need all the G-Funk whistle synths. It's just good times.
Say that again.
I can't use words. I'm not good at words. Again, Brett said, this is super duper sample heavy. Like, I mean, this is
look at the Wikipedia
a friendly reminder
album.
that for as much as forgettable a solo career as Jermaine Dupri had, he wasn't the worst producer in the universe. Maybe not a good writer, maybe not a good artist. The guy could produce a little bit if you were into sample heavy early 90s vaguely G-Funk hip hop.
Yeah, and like Edie said earlier, check the Wikipedia article out.
Oh my gosh, the Wikipedia page under samples, every song has multiple samples. Like, it's ridiculous. Dupri was known for doing that, like, just ridiculous samples per song.
And I don't remember 1992 being sample time as much as post 1992.
No, 1992 was in the heart of all that.
Post 1992?
There was people were
When
starting
Dre
to
got
ask
big
for
solo.
money after 1990.
It's
Yeah, but
the
like,
end of like
to
the
me-
golden age of samples.
Right, like, to me, it was always, like, hip-hop was predicated on the samples. Like,
Yeah, but like hip hop wasn't so big that the artists who were being sampled were demanding money until later. But we can get into that later.
it's so weird.
But yeah, Drew, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention this time around?
Look, like, I've been groaning. This album, and Kris Kross in general, and Dupri in general, like, is, like, you want to talk about a person that had their fingers all up in this record. Let's talk about Dupri. This is very, very much produced. It's 14-year-olds singing songs about partying and banging and drinking lots of booze, and then looking like they had the clothes on backwards, and they're trying to look all like kids and stuff, and like, and it's in high school kids. It's like this was made to get 6-year-olds into hip hop. Like, this is what this record was, and it did it. It did it very, very well. The songs were the song lyrics had at times gangster, like, harder edge lyrics in them. You have songs we'll get into that, like I said, deal with trying to get a girl's number and trying to get banging a girl at a party and like doing all this sort of stuff, drinking, stuff like that. And then you have songs like I Missed the Bus and stuff like that. It's something that, like, it's something that just, to me, it was weird. Like, it's a weird record from back to front. And Brett said, I wish that I could look up what was across from this record. I did. The Chronic came out in 92. Daily Operation by Gangstar. I just knocked over my remote. Daily Operation by Gangstar and Ice Cube's The Predator all came out in this year, to give you an idea of what else was coming out in hip hop around this time. But like I said, this is if you know Dupri, you sort of know what you're getting into with this record. It feels like one of his records where there is a lot of pop to it and a lot of stuff to it that is his England, and I just don't get the feel from it that the Mac Daddy and Daddy Mac had much say in what was actually going on in the record because they were 14, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Which is understandable. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
Well, let's get it out of the way. Jump, a song written by Jermaine Dupri, The Corporation, and the Ohio Players.
Yep. Yep.
I forgot all about the fact that this was a diss track aimed at Another Bad Creation.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. I mean, everybody knows this song. It has that, aforementioned 90s rap sine wave, the whistle, if you would. But this song topped the charts for the Hot 100 for 8 weeks. I mean, it was so big that it reached rural Indiana, where somewhere I heard it. But it's a earwormy track, but it is nothing to compare to "I Miss the Bus." This is truly the most powerful ballad of our generation. Nothing about this song that isn't fantastic. It is by far my favorite track off the album.
It would be.
It is.
Fucking love
it is the most a couple kids rapping about stuff song that you could. Peter, are you quitting? You're like totally not crossed out anymore.
It's choking me. It's not a
basketball jersey.
This does kind of suck, but I'm zipped up into this and I can't undo it. But yeah, I missed the bus.
After this episode, you have to go to your wife and be like, "Hey, could you unzip me from my ADC, please?"
Or I'll find like a coat hanger to get some extra length and zip it down. God, yeah.
Committing to the bit, I like it.
I'm gonna do something that I've never done on Record Breakers. I'm gonna bring up a song that wasn't even music, the track outro, and it wasn't even the end of the album. But there are a few things like. Holy crap, 1992. The 1992 occurred on the outro track. Go listen to it. It is something that I remembered very much. I haven't listened to that since I was in the second grade. So it's been a long time, but I still remember the 14, you got an earring. Your parents wear your clothes back. I remembered all that stuff. But yeah, you can go through this. There are some other songs on this album that were well crafted, but Jesus, I miss the bus. It's a real toe tapper.
Mm-hmm. I miss the bus. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
So along the lines of what Brett said, I'm going to talk about the intro because this just brought back the goddamn memories. Because I remember getting this tape, popping it in my my little whatever Walkman fucking shit, and listening to this. And wow, this was a alarmingly important moment in my childhood that I'm only really at 24 years later, whatever, 24 years later, really grasping just how important this was to me. Obviously Jump, because that was my goddamn anthem as a child. I think my parents literally made fun of me for it for most of my, growing up period, for that being a thing I was really, really, really into for a couple of years. And then I sort of said there was gangster rap on here, sung by 14-year-olds, and it's called Lil Boys in the Hood, and it's kind of uncomfortable if you listen to it too closely. Because it's
the one that's uncomfortable.
Dark. Also party. Also because it is
Sneaking into a club.
Yeah, it's 14-year-olds sneaking into a club and trying to hook up. It's also like super duper sampled hip hop. But like I'm like thinking back to when I was 14 and I was admittedly about as lame a 14-year-old as you could be. And this wasn't even on my radar of things to do at 14, let alone like things I was, singing about in my rap songs that totally were written by Jermaine Dupri. And
I was going to say, the things you would write about in your rap songs, if Jermaine Dupri
wrote my rap song, yeah. And then I do vividly remember I Missed the Bus because it was the other like big single from this record that like I really, really remember. This is one of those, sometimes you go back and listen to something from your childhood and you're like, oh, that's actually kind of great. And then sometimes you go back and listen to something from your childhood and be like, there's a reason I stopped listening to this by 1994 and moved on to TLC. It's 1992 and it's not the best that 1992 has to offer, but damn it if it wasn't important to my youth.
Did I mention Daily Operation came out?
Well, I mean, this wasn't just top of the hip hop charts. This was the top of the charts.
Yeah. This was what basically one of the first rap songs to like not just get to the top but stay there for more than a minute.
Oh yeah.
Like this
oh no, it was a major hit
4 times over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
That is nuts.
No matter how much I love this album, I don't love it 4 times platinum.
Yeah, no. Drew, what would be the key tracks for you?
Well, we'll talk about Jump because everyone knows this song. It's been used and abused by folks in the past. Everyone from American Greetings to Philadelphia Cream Cheese. But it's something that to me feels like a time and place. Like Jump is a very 90s feeling song. From the beat to the fact that they are using terms like a wiggity 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 whack. It just is very like 90s like pop sort of feel to me. Which is cool. I'm gonna go into You Can't Get With This. I really like the beat to that one. It had like a lot of potential there, but it just the rhyme flow itself just felt cookie cutter. It could have been better word flow there. And again, that's something I don't put on Mac Daddy and Daddy Mac. I put that on Jermaine Dupri. And let's talk about Party for a second. In hip hop, in rap, if it is as we said when we talk about Watsky, a genre that in its beginnings was telling a story through rhyme, whether it be a funny story about the chicken tasting like a 2x4, as it were, or something more serious, it was still telling a story. So the story it's telling us is that a 14-year-old got pulled out of a club in handcuffs and then broke away from the cop for a hot second to try to talk to a girl that was much older than him to try to get her number so that they could bang later. What? Like, someone explain? Like, again, I don't, like, George Clinton saved this song because it was catchy, but, like, lyrics fucking weird.
Yeah. 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 It kind of was that. It's just ridiculousness all throughout this record. Like,
what, this record, Cardboard Castles, that we have on our...
Oh, yeah. You know what?
That joke only plays to the YouTube watchers. All 10 of them.
And I still don't know how to point stage left, but that's cool.
Yes.
Oh, I did.
Yes. Yeah.
Production jokes aside, and
check out these dubs.
Yes, check out these dubs. Yeah.
To make fun of people.
Yeah. Yeah, some ridiculous songs as written by an adult, sung by a kid. It kind of makes for some silliness and some ridiculousness.
Also, like, Jermaine Dupri was like 19 when he wrote this, so he was barely
he wasn't really an adult, yeah. So he was like, yeah. It was him getting kicked out of the club because he wasn't 21, and if it was him singing the song, it probably would have made a lot more sense. But you put,
just think of the kind of people that are under that age that you're just like, kid. Squiggles is older than Jermaine Dupri was when he was doing this, and Squiggles is perpetually that little kid.
Yeah,
who's way more educated than all of us.
Yeah.
I think I am nearly equally as educated as Squiggles. He's just much smarter than me.
Yeah, he started it at 16. But yeah.
But yeah, let's bring it back around the horn for some conclusive thoughts. Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
If you remember Jump from childhood, go back and listen to the record just for shits and giggles. It's a shit and a giggle. I probably won't be listening to it for another 20 some years after this, but I'm glad I got a chance to go back and question my 6-year-old self for his obsession with this. But it's a good time.
Yeah.
And it reminds us how forgettable Jermaine Dupri is.
Yes. Drew.
What, you don't listen to Da Brat all the time?
You leave Da Brat out of here.
The only good thing Jermaine Dupri was ever involved in was TLC, and I'll defend that.
Yeah.
I blame Babyface for that.
Yeah. Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
Well, look, if it's not obvious by now, this is not my cup of tea. It's something that just, you can feel the production on it. You can feel that era of it. And whether Kris Kross later on made something that was more them, like, I do not know, but this record is not that. This record it's a hip-hop record, but it's a pop record. Like, it's something that was produced to sell millions of copies and has achieved that. It's catchy hooks. It's a couple of kids that are friendly enough that it wasn't, Dr. Dre coming into the white household scaring mothers. It was a couple of 14-year-old kids.
This didn't scare my mother, who would not let me watch MTV. That's what you have to know.
Exactly. So it's something that's, for its time, it's definitely of its time. It's a time capsule sort of record. And for that, I think it's sort of cool to go back to any pop record of the eras and sort of like see what was topping the charts, as Casey Kasem might say. But like Swagger said, this is probably not going to get much rotation from me past this.
Yeah. It's proof that every era, no matter how exalted, had schmaltzy pop music in in banal records. Every era. But Brett, what will be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
I mean, I brought this album not because it's the best album, but it was a great album. Great for content and things to talk about. No, this isn't the pinnacle of the arts, or even this genre of art, or even the best album done by kids. But it's
Kids Bop 22 is the best.
When they, I might bring a Kids Bop album on here if I can find the Kids Bop album that has the most adult themes that they have changed to not be adult themes.
Yes.
But no,
that would be fun.
no, this album is not great, but it is a large album that spanned a very wide swath of these states united. As Philadelphia cream cheese aside, You know, this album is neither important nor special, other than to people who were there when it happens. This is the Leif Garrett of our generation, but I would like to think this is way better and well skillfully produced to the point where it really was not required. So I mean, if you haven't heard it, what the fuck's wrong with you? If you have, you know, you probably forget some stuff. It's worth going back and being like, how quaint. But you know, at the end of the day, it's not a make or break album to listen to. I find it important, and that's why I brought it. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah. I was looking at the Wikipedia article, and I just realized that this album came out a year after Del the Funky Homo Sapiens debut album.
You don't say.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I didn't know that Del was making music that long. Crazy. I wish my brother George was here. Was released in 1991. Yes, this album totally crossed out. Those are our thoughts. Now we get into our haiku reviews, the main event of the evening, what we've all been waiting for. Let's get down to it. I'll start this time. I like to switch up the initiative order every once in a while. I'll start. A pop rap kid act composed by a bigger kid. Not great, but not bad. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Making a return to an early memory. So much nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what is your haiku?
Young kids try out rap. Dupri has his fingers all over this one.
Ooh. Phrasing. Phrasing. Brett, what is your haiku?
It's some kids rapping and doing it way too well. It's macadocious.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In all of this, we say rest in peace, James Christopher McDaddy. But yes, those are our thoughts on Kris Kross, totally crossed out, not totally Krissed out. That would have been the good prequel.
Wow.
That's the prequel that never happened. It's like the one we've all been waiting for. But yeah, you can of course find us on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. That is in fact what it's called. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. You can find play Record Breakers, the home game. It's late, so we're all loopy. We're all backwards. Even our brains
great.
are on backwards.
This is some quality content.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for somebody to throw it to me.
Yes. But yes. You can find it on the Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. On that same Spotify playlist, presumably, will be next week's record, or the next week's record. I don't know. Provided by none other than Drew. Drew, what do you got for us?
Or maybe 4 weeks from now, whenever we get back to recording.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know if you guys know this. I'm gonna do a little confession time before I say what record that I'm going to do. I happen to like a lot of things from a certain city. That city being Cleveland. And one of the things that Cleveland's own has produced is a album that won a Grammy for hip hop in 1997. It was made in 1995. It is an album called East 99 Eternal. It is from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Mm-hmm. So go forth and check that out. If you can.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you will. But that's next week, and this is this week. You can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Britt is at HeyBDBibbard, HIBBITOIBIBBARD. Drew is at XJuiceForX. I'm at PD Rave. That's the show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli.net for listening to the shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch. Look us all up. iTunes, Stitcher, all over the place.
Hit us up,
like,
girl.
share. Like, share, subscribe, do the thing. Until next time, hasta los huevos. Annyeong. Fighting.